As of February 15, 2025, the world has been watching closely as Hamas made a significant move in the ongoing hostage crisis, deciding to release a group of Israeli hostages it had been holding in Gaza. This unexpected development has sparked widespread reactions, with both relief and skepticism in the air. Hamas, the Palestinian militant organization that governs the Gaza Strip, had been holding a number of Israeli citizens since the escalation of violence several months ago. The hostages, many of whom were civilians, had become a focal point in the broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Throughout this period, international diplomatic efforts had been underway, with various countries, including the United States and Qatar, attempting to broker deals and negotiate a release. The announcement came suddenly, and the reasons behind the decision remain somewhat unclear. Some speculate that the release was part of an agreement that involves a larger prisoner swap, while others believe that the decision was influenced by growing international pressure, particularly from the US and European nations. There has also been talk of potential shifts in Hamas's strategy, seeking to balance military objectives with diplomatic gestures that could open the door for future negotiations. The timing of the release is significant. It comes just days after former US President Donald Trump issued an ultimatum, calling for the swift release of hostages, or else threatening dire consequences for Hamas. While some analysts believe that this was an effective diplomatic move, it is hard to say definitively if Trump's statement was directly linked to the release. What is certain, however, is that the move has shifted the dynamics of the conflict, bringing some hope to families of the hostages and setting the stage for further negotiations. As the hostages were freed, they were swiftly transported under heavy security to a location where they could be safely returned to Israel. There were emotional reunions as families embraced their loved ones, many of whom had been held for months under harrowing conditions. For those who had been following the developments closely, the release of these individuals is a momentary victory in a conflict that has been marked by deep pain, loss, and unresolved tensions. However, the release does not signal the end of the broader conflict. For Hamas, the decision to free the hostages was likely a calculated one, intended to garner some international goodwill or even leverage in ongoing discussions. Some experts believe that Hamas's leadership is attempting to shift its narrative, positioning itself as a party willing to engage in diplomacy, even as they continue to hold other hostages and pursue military objectives. For Israel, the release is undoubtedly a positive development, but it doesn't erase the complexity of the ongoing war with Hamas. The families of the hostages are relieved, but they remain deeply concerned about the thousands of other Israeli citizens and soldiers still being held or threatened by Hamas and other militant groups in Gaza. Moreover, Israel's government remains focused on ensuring security for its citizens and rooting out terrorism, while navigating the complexities of international diplomacy and potential prisoner exchanges. International reaction to the release has been mixed. The United States has praised the release, calling it a positive step and a sign that diplomatic efforts can yield results. At the same time, there are concerns that this may be just one small part of a larger and more complicated puzzle. Many analysts are waiting to see what Hamas's next move will be, and whether this release marks a shift in strategy, or if it is simply a tactical maneuver to ease some of the pressure it is facing. The release has also drawn attention to the ongoing humanitarian situation in Gaza. While the freed hostages represent a significant moment of hope for their families, the plight of Palestinian civilians in Gaza continues to worsen. The region remains under siege, with thousands displaced and living in dire conditions. Any resolution to the broader conflict will need to address the root causes of the violence, including the humanitarian crisis, as well as the broader political dynamics that fuel this decades-old struggle. In conclusion, the release of Israeli hostages by Hamas on February 15, 2025, represents a dramatic and unexpected turn of events. It is a moment of relief for the hostages and their families, but the larger conflict remains unresolved. The decision may be part of a broader strategy by Hamas, and its implications for future negotiations and the region as a whole are yet to be fully seen. As international attention shifts to the next phase of the conflict, the world waits to see whether this release will lead to lasting peace, or if it is simply another chapter in an ongoing struggle that has defied resolution for decades.